welcome to our August Author Nook. My name is Jordan H. Bartlett, and I am the author of Contest of Queens, Queen's Catacombs, and Queendom Come, and I am joined today by the electrifying, the sorcerific author Lauren Magaziner, here to talk about her new novel, The Incorruptibles. She's the author of not one, not two, but 12 middle grade novels, so this is her latest. Welcome, Lauren.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you. I just cannot wait to get my teeth stuck into this one. And today we're going to be talking ensemble casts and magical overlords and all things incorruptible. But first things first, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So, my name is Lauren. I live in Philadelphia. I was born kind of near Philly, so I kind of did a little trek through New York and then made it back home. I've been writing since I was in eighth grade, or writing novels, I guess, because I had an English teacher who encouraged me. And yeah, I basically wrote novels for fun as a kid, like a little
I
nerd.
love it. And I would like to take a moment to really shout out those English teachers that do inspire the young writers because it's true, it is something that's odd for a kid to be sitting in their room crafting magical worlds, but you need that person who jumps in and inspires you. And now that you've said that, this book is full of beautiful mentors. So it makes sense that you've kind of carried that through to your novels.
Yeah, teachers are super important to me. I've had like a whole bunch of them who encouraged me along the way.
Oh, yeah. We love you, teachers. So, with The Incorruptibles, can you tell us a little bit about what it's about, what we can expect?
Okay, so The Incorruptibles is a future dystopian world, kind of in a broken down United States, where basically anybody can become a sorcerer, but the only people who do it are really power hungry because magic is used as a tool to oppress people without magic. So basically, you have these sorcerers who are egotistical and punching down and running around the world, causing havoc on non-magical people. But then there is a resistance movement called Incorruptibles, and they have an academy where they train young kids to learn how to become full-fledged Incorruptibles and fight against their sorcerer oppressors using technology.
It's so cool. I love it. Magic versus science. And usually we see magic be the good guy's weapon and science be like the evil. So I love that switch because there were so many new elements that you could explore within the novel by having it be the other way around.
Yeah, it's actually kind of an anti-magic boarding school instead of a magic boarding school.
Yeah.
So it's like a fun little flip on the genre.
Exactly. Yeah. And what was your inspiration behind The Incorruptibles?
So, two things. One was that I was thinking a lot about the books that I loved growing up, and it was a lot of like chosen one stories where people swoop in and tell a kid, like, you have magic powers, you're super special, like, come learn how to use your powers. And then these kids would go away to some sort of like training camp or school or be mentored in some way, learn how to use their magic and actually became very powerful. And I kept thinking, like, if you're being told that you are super special from the time that you're like a young child, how do you not let that go to your head? How do you not get an inflated ego and like this inflated sense of self? And so I thought, well, what if sorcerers did let it go to their heads? And then I was like, that's something. So I started to think about like a world in which sorcerers really did feel like they were better than everybody else because of their magic. So that was a start. And then the other piece was basically watching a lot of very rich, very influential people use their power in ways that like hurt other people and don't help other people. And so that kind of became a piece of the sorcerers as well. Like, why is it that people who have a lot of power use it in harmful ways?
I love that. And that's so relevant today. I just also love that exploration of the power side of the chosen one narrative because you're right. Like, and I'm thinking of, Percy Jackson gets told he's the son of a god and he's just like the nicest kid always. But then contrast that with if you've read the Song of Achilles, where Madeline Miller retells the tale of Achilles and Patroclus, which I love. Oh,
That's one of my favorite books.
It's so beautiful. If I could have an ounce of that beauty in my writing, I will have made it as an author. But she has Achilles be that, where it's like he's a son of a god, son of a nymph. He's wonderful. Of course, he's going to be cocky and arrogant and almost toe the line of inhuman, which I think you did really well with the sorcerers because when you meet them, it's like, oh, there's a young boy and a young girl, and this isn't a spoiler, it happens very early on in the book. Young boy and a young girl meets our main character, Fiora, and they are just foul. Like they have no mercy. They don't regard her as even human enough to warrant decent interaction
I
skills.
mean, they literally call her a bug, like
Yeah.
a bug under their shoe.
So, oh, it was chilling because it is. It's true. And it really relates so well to what we're seeing now with our billionaires just being them.
And politicians
Yes.
being politicians.
Yeah, yeah. But it's lovely because you've got also the hope of the younger generation where uh, you're taking these children who are incorruptible, teaching them how to fight against the kind of overlord powers that they're being oppressed by. And I think it's what a lot of us, we were talking before we started recording about that millennial generation where we were brought up on you can change the world if you're brave and strong and kind. And then we are now at that age where we thought we'd be changing the world and we're still powerless. But having this reality come through where the kids are changing the world, it's just, oh, it just melted my heart.
Oh, thank you. And I think too, though, in some ways they are still powerless.
Mm.
But they're learning how to find their power in a world where they're literally disempowered.
Yes. And also in a world where if they were to take power the way that their oppressors have taken power, they would be sacrificing a part of their soul.
Yeah, like they
Mhm.
have to find their power in different ways.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And so your novel does feature quite an ensemble cast. There's a lot of different voices, a lot of different characters, and a lot of different powers, as well as a lot of different weapons used. So there's a lot of variety here and a lot of different flowers. Uh, what writing tips do you have to keep each character's voice, personality, and kind of fighting style unique enough so that when I'm reading it, I'm not lost?
Yeah, so I first started with a character index that I made for myself, basically detailing like the character's personality, their backstories, any secrets that they were hiding that came out in book one or are still hiding and will come out in book two or further. Why they might have chosen the squad that they're on, their weapon of choice, if they're sorcerers, what their power is. Um, and I have so much info about each character that didn't actually make it into the book, but I think it helps round them out as like, full, complete characters. Like, for example, like the character Rowan, who's like one of the students, but doesn't really have a major role to play in this book, has such an interesting backstory that really like comes to light in book two. So, like stuff like that, you know, I know more about them than will ever make it on the page, and that helps me write them. And I mean, this is a book that I could not have written as my debut just because it has so many characters that I have to juggle and make sure that it's not confusing for the reader. When I'm writing in the book, I introduce them a little bit at a time. Sometimes I feel like if you throw too many characters at a reader at one time, that they'll be overwhelmed. But if you do it in little bits and spurts, then it becomes manageable because they'll get to know a character pretty well before you introduce the next one, who they'll get to know well before you introduce the next one. So that's how I handle it. And one of my editors very early on gave me really good character advice that I take with me. And it's like if you take your character, any character, and like the reader like puts them in a scenario that's not on the page, like any sort of scenario that would make them like annoyed or frustrated or angry or overjoyed or excited, like the reader should know how any given character would react to any situation, even if it wasn't in the book. And like that's what helps a character feel real is that you would know how they would react elsewhere. So I do think a lot about reactions when I'm doing the characters too. Like how Onyx would react to things is very different than how Mel would react to like the same exact scenario, which is very different from how Cameron would react to the same exact scenario. So those are the three other characters on the book besides our main Fiora, for anybody who doesn't know.
I love that. And actually, hearing you say that, it makes sense because I really started to notice like, oh, you would introduce a character and it's like, oh, she's the sleepy one. And then you'd go into depth with her. But every time I saw her, I'm like, she's the sleepy one. I can't remember her name, but every time she showed up, she's like, no, I don't want to do that. Like she just,
Yeah, Lavinia.
Lavinia, yes, I was like, it starts with an L. And then, yeah, because then it's almost like they've got not a catchphrase, but like a catch quirk that hooks you in. And then you're able to be like, and it's a nuanced human underneath.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. And so, what was your favorite magical power to write and why?
Yeah, so the magic powers belong to the villains. So I think my favorite was Ringers. Ringer is a shapeshifter. And I can't tell if that's just my favorite power to write because it's really fun to like re-describe Ringer's appearance almost every other sentence, or whether it's because I just love Ringer as a character, because Ringer is like such a jerk. Like Ringer's so mean, but like really fun to write. Ringer's like one of those characters you love to hate. And what's cool is in the audiobook, my audiobook narrator, Caitlin Kelly, changes Ringer's voice every time Ringer has a transformation, which I think is also really cool.
That is so complex too. Oh, I have so much respect for audiobook narrators. That is a very incredible feat. Yeah, Ringer was definitely fun and also horrifying when you think of the implications of just could change into anybody you know or don't know at any given time.
Any Ringer could be anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what's interesting too when reading this book is you really get the sense of we're so used to seeing the good guys have magic that when we see the bad guys have magic, it's terrifying because they're basically mini gods. Like they can enact power upon other people that is indescribable, but somehow when it's in the hands of the heroes, you're like, "Oh, well great. We got the heavy arsenal on our side."
Yeah, like I don't think you would think twice about a teleporting power if like the heroes have it, but when the villains can teleport anywhere at any time and be where you are, that's horrifying.
Terrifying. Yeah. Yeah, and we're like, "Oh, I would just do it so I don't have to walk to the shops." Like
Yeah. Yeah, or so that I could like have lunch in Japan and dinner in Paris and be home by 5 o'clock.
exactly. Yeah, I'm not going to infiltrate a academy full of hopeful young
Yeah.
non-magic users and just wreak terror upon them. And speaking of the academy, each squad within, so the academy's kind of built into squads and they have their little homes and their little gardens, which I loved. Each squad has four or five, if you're the Thistles, members and is named for a flower. Please tell me more about these lore choices because it's very unique.
Okay, so it's actually very funny, and my family makes fun of me because I can't keep a plant alive to like save my own life. Like I every flower I touch dies. So I don't know why my brain was like flowers, but it for sure was. I like looking at them, don't let me touch them. But I do love the way that flowers and plants represent growth and also change because plants are seasonal. So they're not always blooming. Like sometimes they're blooming and thriving, but then other times they're burnt out from too much sun, or they're cold, or they're overwatered, or they're underwatered, and they wilt a little bit. And the nice thing about nature is that it's very resilient, it bounces back. And so I just loved that motif running through the academy. And then why the thistles, clovers, and buttercups specifically for my main squads. So I loved the clovers and how clovers symbolize luck. I feel like that's a very easy connection to make. I feel like buttercups are a really happy flower. They always make me smile. It's like when you used to rub the buttercups under your chin or like chin up buttercup. It just feels
The
warm.
chin up buttercup was my favorite. It's like, oh, yes.
Yeah, so it just feels like a warm flower to me. And then thistles was actually the last one that I decided on. And it's funny because I was deciding between thistles and bluebells for the third one in the youngest squads. But thistles, because I lived in Scotland for a little while, I studied abroad there, and that's their national flower. And I just love how prickly it is. And it's also cute, and it's like a really weird original flower. Like it doesn't look like any other flower. And then I was debating between that and bluebells, just because I love bluebells, also a very original looking flower. And I was going back and forth and like, did I want the capes to be purple or blue to go with like green and yellow? And then I texted an author friend and I was like, what do you think? And she said, go with thistles. So I went with thistles and I no regrets. And then I made bluebells, this squad that is Fiora's, this whole team's actually their captain's original squad when she was a kid.
And what I love about the thistle too is it really embodies that theme of resilience that is all the way through this book, where it's like you will get knocked down. There will be people more powerful than you who are causing you harm. And you will likely not want to get up, but the thistle is such a beautiful symbol for that, like pop back up and also
Mhm.
spike attack. Like it's
Yeah,
such a
they're
good.
thorny.
Yeah, whereas Bluebell, I feel like too, because you've got the clover, sorry, the buttercup, which is like a dainty, pretty flower. Bluebell would have been too similar. So I love that you went with thistle. And your novel is very much, as you mentioned before, set in a hopefully distant dystopian future. Hopefully. Where we do have some remnants of old science and a threat of new magic. What kind of considerations did you make to balance these two power sources?
Yeah, I feel like it is a little unbalanced actually, because it does seem like there's a lot more magic in the world and it's a lot more powerful. And it's not really balanced in a fight either because incorruptibles are trying to detain sorcerers, but sorcerers are trying to kill incorruptibles, which makes it a much harder fight for the incorruptibles. But I did think a lot about the limitations of tech and magic because there's no power source that is limitless or flawless. And so I guess you find out a little bit more about that with magic in this book. And then for tech, I felt like tech was a luxury that people in this dystopian future don't always have access to. So in the beginning, the captain of the Thistle Squad, Quinn, tries to arm Fiora, who is not part of the Incorruptibles organization, like just a random civilian, with a piece of Incorruptibles technology. It's like Quinn's idea to arm the civilians because the more tech that's out there, the more people can fight back against sorcerers, but like most people don't have the tech to fight them. It's usually just the resistance movement. So the fact that there's just such limited tech that doesn't belong to everybody makes it a lot harder to fight the magic.
And then two, with the tech we see with Fiora, okay, she's given a lightning blaster, but she does not have any training. And so
Oh yeah,
when
she doesn't
she,
know how to use it.
yeah, so when she
This
uses it, it
happens
is
in
catastrophic.
chapter three, so like minor spoilers, but she
Mm.
basically fires the lightning blaster inside her house and knocks down her own house.
Yeah.
She does not understand how much power the lightning blaster has, and basically causes her uncle's shop to catch on fire.
Well, and and it's like she does kind of win, but at a huge cost, which I think really does foreshadow what we're probably going to see more and more, where there is going to be costs to any time, not just the magic users, but anytime someone uses that power. Um, it also made me think of bear spray. I was like, I bet you a lot of people get a can of bear spray and then they do something like that where they use it inside or they actually wait, do you know about
I
bear
know
spray?
nothing about bear spray.
Oh, okay.
Tell
I'm
me
living
everything.
in Canada. You're from America. In Canada, we have to hike with bear spray most of the spring, summer, little bit of autumn months because if you're hiking and you see a bear, we don't have claws or teeth. And it's basically just a can of mace, and you are supposed to spray it, but you get it, and they don't really tell you anything like the shop person's supposed to give you a spiel, but it's just like you have to be this close to a bear and spray it upwind of him. And I always think, no way in heck am I going to confront a bear in the wild and go, perfect, the wind is right, you're 20
Right.
meters away, and I'm gonna aim for the snoot. Like, no. I bet so many people just like panic and then blow up
Yeah.
a store.
I mean, like, I can never tell what upwind is anyway. Like, sometimes I'm trying to figure out which direction the wind's coming from, and I'm like, you're everywhere.
Exactly, yeah. It also is a real reality check for us Canadians. Like, oh, the rest of the world probably doesn't know what bear spray
I'm
is.
gonna be honest, there aren't really many bears roaming around Center City, Philadelphia.
That, you know what, that is fair. We're looking after them for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And so, what message do you hope your readers come away with when reading your novel?
So I want readers to feel empowered when they read this. I want them to understand resilience and tenacity, and to understand that resistance is a community battle. When things get hard, that's what a team is for. And I think in our world today, things are pretty hard, and it can feel overwhelming to want to do something and not have the strength to fight back sometimes against people who are so much more powerful than you are, when you're doing it alone. But that's what a community is for. And when everybody comes together, that is the best way to fight back.
Yeah.
And I also want people to feel like they understand what a found family is and like what it means to be supportive of somebody else. So The Incorruptibles is like a really inclusive book, and specifically queer inclusive as well. So like I wanted people to understand what it looks like to have a queer inclusive world and a queer normative world, where everybody is supported for loving who they love and being exactly who they are.
I love that. And oh my gosh, I couldn't agree more. I've always, actually, I've had so many conversations with other author friends where we just kind of sit there going, so many people write fantasy worlds where you can make up all the rules. You can say everybody hops on one leg and that's the norm. And yet, so many fantasy books, when you're reading them, you yourself feel alienated because they still have sexism, they still have racism, they still have like homophobia or kind of the alphabet army phobia that isn't necessarily there for the plot or for any kind of message. It's just like there because I don't know, maybe we're used to it. But that's the thing in fantasy books, we can make the rules, we can make the world, we can decide what's the bad stuff and what's the good stuff. So I love that you took that opportunity to actually show that change and that difference and what it could look like if we just didn't care. Because I think that's almost more I don't know if I want to say like productive, but it's more hopeful if you just show a world where it's a non-issue rather than waving a flag being like it's still an issue but we're here for it. Like, no, we want to see what normalized looks like because that's how people heal and that's how people feel really comfortable within their own skin.
Yeah, I didn't really see any point into bringing like homophobia or transphobia or racism into like this world. It's not really relevant, and it's not the world in which I want to picture. It's weird because The Incorruptibles is like simultaneously a dystopia and like a utopia at the same time. It's like you've got this like little utopian bubble inside of this bigger dystopian world. But that's what I wanted to portray, is just like everybody being themselves and being supported for being themselves. I think that's how it should be.
Hmm. And what's cool about that is that you can have the good guys having like the queer any form of the alphabet army. I love that term alphabet army. I hope it's not offensive, but I just love it. We keep adding new letters and I don't want to miss anybody out. Um, but then you also have villains with it too, because I also have a hard time when it's trying to be so inclusive and all the good guys are queer coded and then all the bad guys are not, because then that almost says the wrong message. It's like if
Yeah.
everybody is like this, we have good guys and bad guys, and it can look really good and it can look really toxic, and this is what those things look like.
Yeah, I loved writing some queer villains in there, and
Mm.
queer good guys. I mean, there's not a single group in this world where everybody's good or everybody's bad. It's like, and I also kind of wanted to blur the lines between good and evil at some points. And that we get a little bit more into that in book two as well. But yeah, it was good for me to be inclusive everywhere. And I love that all of the characters respect everybody else's pronouns. Like, no matter, even if they're villains, they still don't like misgender villains. It's like, it's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you've avoided what Disney did in the past, where it's like all the villains are queer coded. So then you associate queerness with badness, and that's not the case. It's just there are good characters, bad characters, and some of them are queer coded on both sides. So it's not associated with morality at all. It just
Right.
is. Yeah.
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 Oh, and do you have a favorite quote or passage that you can share with us?
I do. So, um, this comes in chapter six, so semi early in the book, and it's right when she is taken to Ink Academy, and she is looking at it for the very first time. So, right here, on this very path, she was standing where others had stood for 100 years before. Humans she would never meet had been where she was, and humans she would never know would come after her, all with a common goal: defying the sorcerers. On her own, she couldn't do much. She was, after all, but one star in the universe. But many stars together could pierce the dark.
Oh, I love that quote so much. I did mention before we started recording, but as I read that, I had to put the book down because it is such a wonderful encapsulation of what you were saying before, where it's the community that can really make the difference. One star, no, sir. But yeah, when we band together, our strengths all magnify and our weaknesses disappear. It's just such a beautiful quote.
Thank you.
And so you've mentioned a few times you've got a sequel on the way. What projects are coming up for you, and where can we find out more about you online?
So I have the Incorruptibles 2 coming out next summer. The title is so good. I feel like it's not going to mean much if you didn't read book one, but it's going to mean everything if you read book one. So I'm very excited to reveal that. And then the cover is like even better. Everyone looks so anguished on the cover. It's fantastic. And then I'm working on a few other secret things, and I'm not allowed to say yet, but
Course, yeah.
gosh, that's annoying. And but you can find me on my website. So that's laurenmagaziner.com. And I have a newsletter on Substack. So laurenmagaziner.substack.com. So anytime I have news, including the title reveal and the cover reveal and the announcements of any secret things I'm working on, that'll all go in my newsletter like right away. So if you're curious, you can sign up for that. And I'm on Instagram and Threads and Blue Sky and Facebook, all under my name. So
Perfect. Oh, incredible. And so I'll put all that information in the little description in the video. But yes, thank you so much for this chat. It has been a delight.
thank you. I'm so happy that we got to do this.
And thank you to all our listeners and our viewers. If you liked what you heard, please take a minute to rate and follow this podcast or share it with a like-minded friend. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. I release new episodes once a month with no set date. So if you want to make sure you don't miss anything, the best thing you can do is follow me. However you wound up here, I hope you are well and living magically.